Welcome to House of Champions, YouTube friends. Drop in your comments and questions in the chat and make sure you smash the like and subscribe button as we get set for this banger of an episode previewing this weekend's fantastic fixture list across Europe's top 5 European leagues and maybe a little MLS Cup final. Great show on tap today. Serie A heats up with some cracking fixtures, including Juve, Inter, and the Rome Derby. Betis, Sevilla in their derby in Seville. Looking forward to that one. The London Derby in the Prem. Oh, yes. A few London boys in the house today, and so much more. Michael Lahoud, Nigel Rio-Coker, and James Bench are with me. Before we get started, how you doing, boys? Michael, we'll start with you.
I'm doing great. I went for a walk, got my coffee in, watched Nigel Rio-Coker, tried to point, was it this?
Oh, look, he can't do it either.
But doing well. Can't wait for the show.
Nigel?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
James?
Yep, fine. Let's get this out of the way.
James has got one foot out the house because there is some Europa League action going on today. He's also in the hunt for Glastonbury tickets, so I don't blame you for that one, James. Just a reminder to you, James Bench, I've got a lot of friends in the music industry. If you're ever looking for tickets, hit me up on our direct message, or you can text me privately. That's just the James Bench, not everybody else out there as well. Let's begin in Serie A today because the fixture list in Serie A is absolutely ridiculous. We're going to start with Juve against Inter, Derby d'Italia. Looking forward to this game. Obviously, the last 3 Serie A games for Juventus has been pretty good. 3 wins, 6 goals scored. They haven't conceded a goal in those last 3 games. There has been a few gems, obviously, some youngsters getting their opportunity to do well and play in a Juventus jersey. What are they doing better in Serie A, I guess, would be the question, compared to what they are doing or producing in the Champions League, Nigel? I mean, this is a Juve team that's trying to figure their way out, obviously sticking with their manager. Players have, the injury list is ridiculously long. They still have a lot of talent. They're giving youth an opportunity to play, but going up against this Inter side at home, normally they're a favorite. I'm guessing in this game, they're probably not a favorite.
I think you'd have to say it's a form thing. I think with everything that we've seen from the start of the season, and again, when you see these kind of transformations, I personally think there's been a lot of soul searching or realization behind closed doors. So whether it's the manager's really giving some home truths to players because he's backed by the board, he's been backed by the fans, where the fans have been deeming that some of these players are not fit enough to wear the shirt. So it gets to a point where, as players as well, you know this manager's not going anywhere. So you got to start performing. I think what they've also done is that, like you said, Ian, that they've given a lot of youth some chance. And I think the youth maybe have kind of spur up that energy and that belief again. And that's what happens when you've got the right youth. It's not every kind of youth you put in this situation, but when you've got the right kind of youthful players who come in with that kind of fearless mentality, that desire, that drive, because they want to prove a point, it becomes a bit infectious in the senior players again to step it up to another level, because I think that kind of inspires some senior players when you see youth like that. I would probably say, especially even with the performance against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League yesterday, I would say that's probably one of the best games I've seen Juventus play, and I would probably put them as favorite to beat Inter in this game. So I think it's a combination of everything. I would back Juventus to win this game, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I do agree with Nigel that they've got better, which I think is quite impressive when you look at this injury list. And I mean, I've just got it up here. You're talking no Vlahovic, no Bremer. We know Pogba suffered a setback as well. De Sciglio, Moise Kean, Weston McKennie. I mean, this is kind of, and this is why we're sort of seeing this youth movement at Juventus, and it's actually still really encouraging to see anyway. And this is how young players get their chance, isn't it? No one gets it, or very few get it in a fully fit squad. But look, I mean, they've beaten Empoli, they've beaten Lecce, good win away to Torino as well. But I'm not getting carried away. Whereas with Milan, I like a lot of what they're doing. They seem to, Inzaghi's kind of loosen the chains a little bit. I mean, if you look at the sort of midfield 3 they're rolling out, it'll be someone like Çalhanoğlu will be playing as the deepest midfielder. You've got Mkhitaryan in a midfield 3. I don't know how much of that he sort of takes to Turin, or whether he is inclined to play safety first. But I mean, I think they're a really good team, and much the same as what Nigel said about Juventus against PSG. I thought Inter were pretty good against Bayern Munich in midweek, so I quite like them to do the business.
Yeah, Nigel, I'm not really feeling the Juventus to beat this Inter Milan side. They won 6 out of their last 8 matches. They figured it out. You have Romelu Lukaku coming back. As soon as he comes back, he bangs in a goal. Edin Dzeko, who when Inter Milan last year was playing well throughout the season, he was scoring goals. He's one of the older gems of this team. Their strike partnerships, they have such balance. They can put whoever out to complement Lautaro Martinez. And he's becoming more of a playmaker, not just a goal scorer for this team. It's the goals from midfield that make this Inter team more dynamic. Barella, he's been a house on fire, can't stop scoring. I think he scored in 3 straight Serie A matches. And when you look at Juventus, I agree with the youth movement. I love when young players get their chances. A big thing that's boosted them, no Vlahovic. You can't play Vlahovic and Milik up top. When you play Milik, it's more ingrained in him to be the hold-up guy. Moretti looked more dynamic. Having an out-and-out attacking midfielder underneath a target striker, I think you get more out of this Juventus team. And Fagioli, this kid's a baller, deep-lying playmaker, can get in. It really brings balance to their midfield. And for one of the first times, you see more consistency. Juventus has played a 4-4-2, basics, just 2 banks of 4, defending, 2 strikers stay up high. Angel Di Maria, whenever he's fit, playing off of Vlahovic. Now they're going back to this back 3, 3-5-1-1, gives them more solidarity, and they're more effective on the counter. It'll take an Inter Milan team to show up gassed and out of form and just not showing up for this game, I think, for Juventus to win the match.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys not think that Federico Chiesa's return will please very inspirational for Juventus? Because I think
he's not really going to be fit. I mean, if this was Chiesa at full pelt, best player on the pitch, I would argue. But
even yesterday, James, I saw a little glimpse of influences. When you've got someone like that, even if it's 70%,
it
can
inspires
take that kind of inspiration that can be the difference in winning a football match. And I saw glimpses yesterday against Paris Saint-Germain where it was a difference when he was in that final third, the confidence, the skill, the ability on the ball, and you could see confidence growing in some other players. So I think that he can be very influential in this game.
Yeah. I mean, you guys will all know better than me. What's it like when, your better teammates come to bail you guys out on the pitch?
Massive
like
lift.
when you've got your star player back after a period of absence.
Massive lift.
Yeah.
The confidence goes through the team. You actually believe you could win the game by another 30-40%. It goes up when you've got
having players in training inspires you, right?
It builds,
especially influential players.
It inspires the culture of the team. It creates a belief, and especially if you're one of the other players who are more defensive minded. And I think the 3 of us probably had more defensive responsibilities. Although Nigel, you hit a crack. Was it Tottenham that you hit a banger with your eyes closed against? But that's for another podcast. I gotta take my one shot.
I imagine this is like when I come back from annual leave to come on the pod. You guys are just like got our star guys back to raise the game.
To be fair, yes, we do feel like that one. Listen, let me just remind you that Inter themselves are on a very good run. Therefore, league wins on the trot. They've scored 11 goals. They've just welcomed back Lukaku, then sort of lost Lukaku again. Who knows where his fitness level is? It doesn't look like he's going to be fit for this weekend. I expect Inter to turn up. They are favourites, as Desi just put up the odds right there. Plus 135 for Inter to win this game. Juve plus 205 at home. For Nigel being a favourite there, I think it's really good odds if you're going to go for a Juve victory right there. Plus 205 is great money to be made on that one there. Yes, I'm talking about betting because I'm having a very good month on the betting for October into
put a bet
November.
for me in, please. Put down
Absolutely.
For me.
No problem, Mel. Let me just get your prediction real quickly. Nigel, I've already got you. You think Juve are going to win?
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. 2-1 win Juventus.
Mike?
3-1 Inter Milan. Goals are coming their way.
James?
Let's say 2-2.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing a draw in this one as well, James, and I'm hoping it's a high-scoring game here. I'd love to see Juve get the win, but Inter right now in the form that they're in, I know Juve have done well, but there's been a few last-minute goals. There's been a few reliance on the young players. I think Inter would be a favourite in this game to win it, so if I'm going to go for a favourite, I'll go for Inter with a 2-1 victory, but I think James might be right here with the draw. Let's move on to Atalanta against Napoli. It's second against first in Serie A. How are we expecting Napoli to rebound from their first defeat across all competitions this season, Michael? I mean, against Liverpool, it wasn't easy for them. They played very well in that game. Yeah. Liverpool played well as well. But I think Napoli going back to domestic football, they would have looked for an easier fixture than this one. Atalanta are on form this season. Difficult to score goals against, and a team you have to be worried about.
I think Napoli would be fully capable of rebounding because of their performance at Anfield in a blockbuster matchup against a Liverpool team that's been one of the yo-yo teams of Europe. Show up, play one good game, probably end up losing this weekend, but we'll see how that plays out. For you Liverpool fans, I know you'll never walk alone, but this season you'll always walk alone. But back to Serie A. I know, dishing it out today. Back to Serie A. This is a great game. Napoli, a team that everything's going right. You have Victor Osimhen back amongst the goals. He looked threatening. If it wasn't for VAR in the Champions League, probably would have contributed some factor in a goal. Everyone's contributing. It's a team, goals by committee, goals by Osimhen, and Cavada seems to continue his form. I think this is going to be down to how Atalanta deal with Napoli's press. Napoli forced so many turnovers, such a good team in transition. They can sit deep and hit you on the counter. Atalanta, they're a team that are susceptible on set pieces, though. Udinese exposed that last time they were in a big game. The good thing is they get Luis Muriel back. He got the red card against Lazio. That was a big miss for them in the recent match. Adama Lukman, he's been the guy who stepped up significantly, thriving in Serie A. He's really found a home. And so it really depends on which teams kind of their identity puts more of a stamp. Does the defensive solidarity of Atalanta snuff out Napoli's potent attack, or does the high press and counter-pressing and counterattack goals of Napoli usurp Atalanta's campaign?
James, can we just get a prediction here from you on this one here before we move on to the next game?
Yeah, I'm sorry to cop out again. I'm going to go 1-1. One fun thing, Atalanta get a lot of penalties. So that's why, kind of Atalanta are going to nick a penalty. But it's hard to see them keeping Napoli out. So, yeah, 1-1.
Nigel, I've got a feeling you're going to go for Napoli again. Why not, right?
3-1 Napoli. I feel that Napoli have a lot more attacking threat than Atalanta. I think Osimhen could be the real key difference in this, as Michael stated. Aerial threat and also the energy for the press. He presses so well. We've seen him press defenders and win the ball and score goals. I think Osimhen's going to be a big difference, but it's not just him. Raspadori, and also you've got Kwicha Kvaratskhelia. So I think that there's more attacking threats by Napoli.
Like, we need to clip that and put that on social media. There's far too many of us taking the piss out of Nigel, put it on social media. But his pronunciation is sensational.
Click that one. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Des.
Just a little bit of a reminder right now that both of these teams are two of the best defensive teams in Serie A this campaign. Napoli only conceded 9. Atalanta only conceded 8. And then to your point there, Nigel, Napoli have scored 30 goals from the 12 games they've played so far. It's very difficult to stop them scoring. Atalanta have scored 18 goals. And this is what's impressed me most about Atalanta this season. Defensively, so much better. And I think the lack of European competition for Atalanta is making them a force to be reckoned with. And that's why they're doing so well in Serie A. Do they finish in the top 4? I think they potentially could. With the Italian teams doing well in European competition, it bodes well for Atalanta to do well. But in this type of game against the Napoli side that are probably pissed off that they just lost the game, I would say that Napoli are an absolute favorite going in for this game, but this one's going to be a banger to watch. Can't wait for it. I'm actually going to go with Nigel and think that Napoli get the victory here. I think it'll be closer than we predict. Maybe another 2-1 game. Both teams to score in this game would be expected, but both of these defenses have been incredibly good to watch. Move on to the Rome Derby. Derby della Capitale. It's Roma against Lazio. It's 4th against 5th in the standings. There's the odds right there. Rome, obviously a clear favorite in this game, -102, and Lazio, the +270. Good money to be made on them. This is a cracking game. Roma are in 4th place, 1 place above Lazio, but Lazio have scored 8 goals more and let in 3 goals fewer, which is incredible to say. So what should we expect from this game, James?
Yeah, so this is very much one for the stats nerds out there, because as you say, Lazio's goals. Oh, he's gone. He doesn't want to hear. I said stats nerds, and he enjoy Lee's. But as you rightly say, Ian, Lazio scored more, conceded less. But if you go and take a look at the expected goals and metrics like that, actually, it's completely the opposite. And as I often say on here, Roma, like by those metrics, they profile to be the second best team in Italy. And all that's really holding them back is Tammy Abraham's had a sort of slightly rough start to the season in front of goal. Equally, kind of a lot of Napoli's success has been good. Lazio's success has been good goalkeeping, some slightly wayward shooting in front of goal. And kind of my view on that is always, and I think the bookmakers have priced this in, that, Tammy Abraham hasn't become a dreadful striker overnight. Lazio haven't become an amazing defensive team overnight. So you can expect some form of regression, some swing back towards what we'd expect. And kind of, to my eyes and to the numbers, Roma are a better team than Lazio. So I think they will make that show this weekend.
Nigel, you like this Lazio side though, right?
No, if I'm honest, no, I probably concentrate more on the Roma side because of Tammy Abreu and Jose Mourinho. So I haven't really paid too much attention to Lazio. So if I sat here and spoke about Lazio at great lengths, I'd be lying to you all.
I know Michael is.
I know, yeah, Michael does. But I think for me, when I look at Roma, like James said there, it's going to be a typical Mourinho performance. And I think that Mourinho is one of the best managers when it comes to these situations. Derby game, they're at home, knows what's at stake. And I still personally don't feel we've seen Roma at full throttle. I think Roma is reminding me of a lot of teams in Europe right now where they're grinding out results, which is still dangerous and we don't give them credit for when they're still not playing at their best. So I believe in James. I think there's going to be a moment when you see Roma really playing the fluent football that we expect, scoring and destroying teams. I think they're not too far off it. And I'll back my man Tammy for this one. I think that Roma will get the win.
Mike, talk to me about Lazio. I mean, you put the curse on them at the weekend, but outside of that, they've been pretty goddamn good to watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably going to see DMs from Lazio fans if I pick him to win this match again, saying stay the hell away from our club because it's been a rough go since I've come back from France. Any team that I back seems to get the piss taken out of them. But for Lazio, they're playing without their best player, Ciro Immobile, still out. In come Zaccagni. This kid keeps scoring goals. Feed him, feed the bear. But the rest of the team, Pedro playing up as a striker rather than a winger. Maurizio Sarri is shifted from a 4-4-2, 4-3-3. This is a Lazio team that has had to adapt, and they're a team that when it's all going well for them, when they get the early goal, they're fast starters. When they get the early goal, they're so difficult to beat. I think this matchup is going to go down to one of two things. One, if it's the longer it goes 0-0, Mourinho masterclass. Mourinho will love that because he knows between Zaniolo and Tammy Abraham, Pellegrini as well, dictating things as the attacking midfielder, it'll favor them. They love thriving in 1-goal games, especially 1-0 games. He'll celebrate that like he did the Conference League. But if Lazio get the early goal, then I think it's going to be goals aplenty. Lazio thrive when it's 1 goal becomes 2. Milinkovic-Savic is going to be key with Ciro Immobile out. He will have to step up to be a leader for this Lazio team.
Just one thing to add as well. Obviously, we're recording this on Thursday afternoon before both of these teams have massive Europa League games. I believe Lazio are away to Feyenoord. They can get away with a draw. Roma need to beat Ludogorets at home as well. And, one thing we have to bear in mind with these sorts of games is, especially when you're playing big players in your Europa League minutes, you may well have a very different team and a very tired team come Sunday afternoon. So could all change if one of these two goes crashing out of the Europa League. I mean, imagine if Mourinho is knocked out by a team of Bulgarian team. It's probably going to be quite embarrassing for him.
Let's take a look at
choose your words wisely.
I didn't want to sort of be rude to Bulgaria as a country.
Yeah.
But equally, we have to acknowledge.
But at the same time, you were.
Hey, Benj is on a roll this week. He's on a roll on Twitter, getting gassed up. He's on a roll on the show. Keep it going.
Oh, he was fired up yesterday as well. Don't worry about it. Let's take a look at the rest of the fixtures in Serie A to look forward to. Serie A campaign has been absolutely fantastic. Make sure you subscribe to Paramount Plus, or if you want right now, there's a promotion going on where you can get 1 month free Paramount Plus action. You can catch a lot of the action on CBS Sports as well. You can use the QR code in the top right-hand screen right there if you want to get that 1 month free. Use the promo code UEFA22 if you want to jump on it as well. But so many great games. Such a competitive league it is to watch right now. Teams doing well in Europe, teams doing well domestically, and there certainly is going to be a battle once again, I believe, for the Scudetto in Italy this year. So big games to look forward to. And let's move on to La Liga before we get to a quick break here. There's only really one game we want to discuss in La Liga. That is the derby in Seville. It's Betis against Sevilla. Betis putting together quite a fantastic season, I believe, this campaign. However, derby games are pretty tricky. And Sevilla, with a new boss in Sampaoli in charge here, what gives in this game, Mike?
I think it's going to be stop the bleeding. This is a Sevilla team that is in big trouble. They're near the relegation zone, and they were giving up goals aplenty. I go back to the Barcelona game where they got absolutely humiliated, the Jules Koundé revenge match, and Koundé showed up providing assists. Sampaoli's a guy who's very familiar with Sevilla. One of the things that made Sevilla tick in years past, that made them so successful, you had to break them down. They were defensively solid. In the last couple of matches, the City game aside, because City's embarrassing teams left and right, I thought they've shown more competitiveness. There's more belief that they do have a bit of the quality, but I think the consistency in goals have been lacking. They need to get the likes of Ivan Rakitic, who was playing in a more attacking position at the start of the season. He's now to a more box-to-box midfielder position. They need to get some of their midfielders contributing more in the attack, because right now you only have one attacker getting in the box, and you're not going to score as many goals with that. For Real Betis, I think the Europa League has been such a boost for their confidence, showing that they can go toe-to-toe with the likes of a Jose Mourinho's Roma. I look for them to be a dominant factor, but you never count out Sao Paulo's team. Sao Paulo will have his team ready to make noise and ready to make an upset.
James?
Yeah, I mean, just if nothing else, we should also point out for people that mulling what to watch and what to put on TV and enjoy the atmosphere of, this is one of the best derbies in Europe as well. You know, real special one, riven with history. I mean, I love some of the stories that come out of this. The derby in 1918, where Betis sent a collection of children, literal children, allegedly to play against Sevilla, and Sevilla showed absolutely no mercy and won 22-0. I can't see Sevilla scoring 22 goals if we played this game for 100 years. And like kind of Mike, I'd be pretty optimistic if I were a Betis fan, but you know, hoary old cliche and all that, but form books straight out the window on Derby Day. And you know that Sevilla are going to be up for this.
Nigel, you got anything to add?
That's the best way to look at it. It's a derby game, and form doesn't really matter. And I think Michael hit the nail on the head there. Sevilla is a club historically that the foundation was built on a great defense. As much as they played fantastic, free-flowing football, the defense was one of their biggest compliments. Hard to score past. That's gone. Slowly trying to build that back. Again, you want Rakitic to be doing more attacking work, more in the final third, in behind the opposition midfield, but he's having to find himself do box to box. So again, there's a whole recruiting process going on. But let's not sleep on Real Betis. And also, you can even say Real Sociedad. Those teams have been very competitive, clubs with history of bringing a lot of players through the academy, and they've done really well and recruited well. But it's a derby game. I think Sevilla will probably want to stop the bleeding, and it's about going back to basics, as Michael said, and being very defensively organized and solid, hard to beat, and just staying in games right now and slowly start picking up points.
Before I give you my comment here on this game, I love derby games more than anything. James, how much credit goes to Manuel Pellegrini and the job that he's doing at Betis? Obviously, great experience, but he seems like he's very happy there. The players seem like they're enjoying playing for him. And coaches, I mean, certainly if you look at Pellegrini and Betis, not getting spoken about too much in La Liga right now.
He's a great players manager, isn't he? I think one of the challenges you maybe have, and one of, you know, as with so many walks of life, sometimes your great strength as a coach can prove to be a weakness. You know, at Manchester City, they adored him for how hands-off he was, how relaxed and at ease he was. By all accounts, doing the same at Sevilla. But then, you know, when things aren't going well, that can be a challenge. But right now, I think he's the perfect coach for that situation, that collection of players, a good mixture of, you know, younger and older talents and a dressing room that kind of can run itself. I think in those situations, Pellegrini's a really great manager. And after his tough times at West Ham, which is kind of the worst club I could think of for him, it's great to see him having some success.
Listen, Sevilla, go ahead. I apologize on that one there, James.
Watch your mouth.
I will say this though about Sevilla. They're being poor on both ends, right? They're not scoring enough goals. They're conceding too many goals. And in a derby game, Nigel's absolutely spot on. Derby games are different, right? You go into it, the statistics pretty much go out the window. The table position goes out the window. It becomes a part of the fan culture and the city culture. We've all been around derbies enough to know that derby games, anything can happen. So really watch out for a surprise result. And I was actually surprised that Desi just threw up the odds right there. Betis were plus 110, I think they were. I mean, for Betis to be so high odds in a derby game, and especially with their table position, tells me that, you know, the odds and the experts are expecting this could be an upset. But I think you got to give credit to the way that Betis have been playing their football, the goals they've been scoring. Borja Iglesias, outstanding footballer right now, obviously getting up there in age, but just a terrific team to watch. Also love watching them in European competition as well. And the Sevilla derby is certainly one that you do not want to miss. Let's take a look at some of the other fixtures in La Liga that maybe catch your attention. Barcelona, Almeria on Saturday, Rayo and Real Madrid on Monday, in the somewhat derby over there. Anything in particular catches your attention from the other games in Spain that should be wary about here? Real Madrid against Rayo, Nigel, anything to worry about there with Real Madrid?
No, not at all. Let the Real Madrid machine, the well-oiled machine, continue. I'm sure in the background they're more worried about planning this Real Madrid world or Real Madrid land, and they're getting the architecture plans ready for that, because it's just not really that competitive in La Liga. And it's not just that, it's not that competitive for Spanish teams in European competitions too. So I'm sure they're fine.
Let's just get a quick prediction on the Seville derby before we get out of here and get to break here. Betis against Sevilla. James, what do you got for me? Betis are my favourites here. What do you got?
Yeah, 2-1 Betis. No,
Mike?
wait, 2-0. Sevilla rubbish.
Mike?
I go
You say that?
I go 2-0 Sevilla. I think Nabil Fekir and Borja Iglesias. World Cup implications on this one. Two players who could be vying for their spots for their respective national teams. So especially Nabil Fekir, I think he's a guy who could be pushing for a starting spot alongside Christian Nkunku for France. Keep an eye on him, but I think he produces alongside Iglesias.
Love him, but he underachieves so much for me, Fekir, by the way. I've watched him all his career, and my, oh my, what a talent. But for frick's sake, man, like just produce it consistently, though, man.
He was all Betis last season. He was their one crowning jewel.
Yeah, but not consistently enough for me. Mike, sorry about that. Nigel?
James said Sevilla were crap, but yet Man City had to call in the recruitment to get the job done. Anyway, I think it could be a draw. I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw, Derby day. Okay, I'm going to go for a Betis 3-1 victory. I think pain continues for Sevilla, especially when it comes to the Derby day. All right, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll take a look at the upcoming fixtures in the Premier League. You're watching House of Champions. Ian, Nigel, and James. For some reason, Michael just disappeared, but he'll be back after this break.
Italy's greatest soccer.
Is there anything this man can't do?
Europe's most exciting title race.
And there's the goal!
The battle for the Scudetto is on. Stream every Serie A match live, exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Well, if you're looking for a month free Paramount Plus action, P Plus have a 1 month free trial offer code UEFA22. Scan the QR code on the screen or follow the link in the description. We've already showed you it. It's right next to Nigel Rio Coker's head. So if you...
He's got it. Brilliant. What vision.
If you're looking for a month free Paramount Plus action, catch the Serie A, catch the Champions League. We got so much to look forward to as well coming your way on Paramount Plus and across the CBS Sports family. But P Plus offering that 1 month free trial. You can also click the link in the description to get your 1 month free Paramount Plus action. Enjoy with the lads previewing this weekend's top fixtures. Let's turn our attention to the Premier League. We begin with Chelsea against Arsenal. It is a London derby. Really looking forward to this derby. Chelsea are still trying to figure themselves out under Graham Potter. Arsenal flying high, top of the league, 2 points advantage over City more than anything else. Arsenal have that 10 points more than Chelsea right now. They've scored 13 more goals, let in only 11 goals. James Benj, tell me if and how Chelsea can upset Arsenal this weekend, if at all that is even possible.
I mean, it's certainly possible, although I have to say on recent performances, you would make Arsenal fairly strong favourites, I have to say. I mean, I think Arsenal look a better team in midfield. They have all their centre-backs and full-backs available, which is not something Chelsea have. But really, so therefore Chelsea are going to need to take what few chances come their way. That means getting Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the mood. Obviously, he has a point to prove against his former team, but on a bit of a goal drought of late. Can you get quick service up to him, up to Sterling, who it was good to see scoring as well against Dinamo Zagreb, and get Mason Mount in the picture? Really, they need to be able to dominate possession, because I think if Arsenal are able to exert control on this game, they're the better team. And it has been a really long time since we've said that in a Chelsea-Arsenal game. Arsenal can now, they go to Stamford Bridge, they will play their way and they will back themselves to win. So Chelsea need to be ruthless with the chances that come their way and do what they can to keep possession against a superior midfield.
Gosh, this Chelsea team, I'm still having flashbacks of the demolition derby at Brighton. This is a Chelsea team that in the last couple of weeks, I've wondered about how they started matches. When they start slow, bad things happen. And when you're against Zagreb, you can afford to start slow, and you do have the extra bit of quality. If they start slow against Arsenal are a team, they're fast starters, home or away. If you start slow, the likes of Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, and everyone else, they will knock you out. Not just get the first goal, but land the knockout blow. The Bukayo Saka potential miss, that could be a big factor.
He won't be.
He won't be. He's going to be playing.
He missed like 1 or 2 training sessions. So he will be there, I think.
Scrap my point. Arsenal are going to do damage. Chelsea, lots of prop. Now, Chelsea, it's going to be dependent on what formation. It's going to be dependent on what formation that they show up in. In European competition, they've played this back three and the usual formation they played under Thomas Tuchel, opting to play with wingers as their 2 wing backs. Maybe Ben Chilwell gets in at left wing back. He did well in the last Champions League game that he started performing well. But Raheem Sterling, where is he going to play? Is he going to play as a left wing back? Is he going to play alongside Aubameyang? Those are the questions that Graham Potter is still trying to iron out in big matches. And if Sterling's playing as a wing back, good luck to you, Chelsea. Arsenal win the game.
Chilwell's got a hamstring problem, mate. Pulled out.
He's probably missing the World
2
Cup.
for 2.
He might be missing the World Cup.
Crap. Well, game
You
done.
did watch the Champions League, right?
I think I did in France. Yeah, in France.
Anyway, listen, I'm going to go a complete different direction. We just talked about it. This is a derby. This is a derby game. Let's forget about current records and
Stats and all that.
form guide. It goes out the window. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely electric. What will change this game is the fans being there. Forget everything that you've seen about Chelsea. Yes, I think Arsenal will probably try and take a leaf off Brighton's book, starting the game early, starting with a high press, putting them under pressure, not letting them get comfortable, try and kill the game early because Arsenal have the players to do that. But at the same time, you can't write Chelsea out. And for me, someone that I've been critical about, Aubameyang, he's going to take this personal. I think this is where we're going to see Aubameyang because we haven't paid attention to him because there's certain things that kind of really made his character look bad by Arteta. What a game to pay him back. He will not need no motivation from the manager for this game. This is the game he marked when he came back to the English Premier League. And I think Aubameyang is going to be on fire this game. I think he's going to be probably clinical and he's going to be very angry and aggressive. You can never write Chelsea out. Yes, we know Potter's still trying to find his way, trying to find his form in the attacking sense, which he's struggling with. But I think for me, all form goes out the window. James could tell you, we've seen so many times when Chelsea meet Arsenal and the favorite who you would say, and I would back James to say Arsenal would be the favorite, don't turn up and get absolutely turned over. That's the beauty of a London derby. And I'm telling you, the Chelsea fans are going to be so up for it. Being at home, a reaction from the Brighton loss, and it's Arsenal. They don't want to sit there watching Arsenal top of the Premier League. And I think Aubameyang is going to really be on form for this game.
I like that comment from Matt Osmond. Aubameyang frustrating Arsenal fans one more time. What's very interesting, and I agree with Nigel, he's going to have a point to prove. But one thing we haven't necessarily thought about and spoken about, and a lot of people haven't, is this Arsenal team is going to have a point to prove to Aubameyang. Specifically, you might not have seen, but earlier this month, video came out of Aubameyang quite soon after he left for Barcelona, talking about how Mikel Arteta can't manage big players and big characters. And, you know, he's kind of said, look, that's something I said in the heat of the moment. But that means in the heat of the moment, Aubameyang thought that these Arsenal players weren't big players and big characters. And I am certain, I know that, and I'll have a piece coming up on this. I know
James.
that. Go on, Nigel.
No, you finish. Go on. You got a piece. Go on.
All I was going to say is there are a lot of the view of Aubameyang within the dressing room has changed even since he left within the Arsenal dressing room. There are going to be a lot of players with a point to prove, and this is such a, you know, it's such a vibrant, young, happy team. I mean, go and see what Gabriel Martinelli was like.
A personal thing, James. That's what you're saying, right? It's a personal thing now against Aubameyang.
I think it has become more of a personal thing than it would have been. So many of those young players really admired and appreciated Aubameyang. He was he wasn't a great club captain, but he was great in the dressing room. And I think some bridges feel like they've been burnt. I think it's fair to say since then. Going to have a piece on that, by the way, on cbssports.com,
Nice.
probably sometime on Friday evening. But yeah, there are going to be players with a point to prove it. Nigel's totally right, though. Aubameyang is also going to want to show that he is that big player, that big character who wins in the big derbies.
And that's my thing quickly. I think let's be real. Aubameyang was the big character in that dressing room. I think he had all right to say what he said against Arteta, because you look at this Arsenal team now, I give them credit. They're a great team, a great unit. There's a togetherness about them that we haven't seen Arsenal for long, but there is no real big characters. There is no individual personalities. They're following Arteta's guide. Yes, there isn't, Ian, because you know it yourself. When you see big characters, you'll see it on the pitch and everything that comes with being a big character and a big personality. That's still not there, which there's nothing wrong with it because what Arteta's done work. But I think
But Nigel, don't. Sorry to interrupt you, but don't you think that the chemistry in that dressing room for Arsenal is a lot better now? Aubameyang is not
100%.
there. I know you talk about leadership, right? But I have followed Aubameyang all the way back to his Saint-Etienne and even before that from his Milan days, right? This guy, tremendous player, obviously a goal scorer. We see it. but he has the habit of being a cancer in the locker room, upsetting everyone. Players get pissed off. You've been in the locker room as well when you're
Ian.
dealing with egos like him. When
I'm not
that's
dis-
gone,
Hold on.
chemistry where the team comes together is very difficult to break. Arsenal are a proper team now. It's difficult to beat that.
I'm not
Can I give you
disagreeing
one
with that. I'm
example of
just
that?
saying, in the moment of what he said, he's right, because he was the big dog. And he was the big dog that was given the power, and all of that came with when obviously Arteta came in. He's right in what he's saying in that moment. I'm not saying he's right in the dressing room, or just because he's a big personality means he's going to be a great leader on and off the pitch. No, that's not it. Great leader on and off the pitch with a big character. You're talking about the likes of a Vincent Kompany. Great leader off the pitch, on the pitch, big character on the pitch as well. That's not Aubameyang for sure. But I'm just saying what Arteta's done is great. And then I think, again, what we've got to forget, we've got to remember this. This is one thing I said the other day. There's a greater burden of pressure on Saka than there is on Phil Foden. Phil Foden could be taken in and out of Man City and replaced with different players. Saka's not playing in this game. I feel Saka is going to be a big loss for Arsenal because a lot of things come through him as well as Martinelli. But I think he's going to be such an influence for this Arsenal team. It could be a big loss in this game.
Can I just say one thing to Ian's point on the chemistry? Because I'd like to share this. It was quite fun. You guys will have sat in press conferences and been spoken to by the media, and people have asked you questions about your contract. And I'm certain your agents and everyone would have advised you, don't say anything. It doesn't help our negotiating position if everyone knows you're desperate to stay. Gabriel Martinelli yesterday in the pre-match press conference, I chuck in a little question about his contract, thinking he'd say not much at all. He ends up by just saying, all they need to do is go and get a pen and I'll sign the contract. That is, especially for Arsenal, a club that are so used to having these crises, whether it's Aubameyang, Ozil, Ramsey, Sanchez, having players that just want to be there and want to sign new contracts. It's so powerful. And, that sort of stuff gets reflected on the pitch, which is why I think Arsenal have cause to feel bullish.
Mike, you got anything to add to this? You've been very quiet right now when it comes to this conversation, but I'm sure you've been in locker rooms where you've dealt with egos and shit like that.
Yeah, I was trying to get a mask to breathe between the conversation between Benj and Nigel, because it was just like WWE wrestling sort of stuff, Glastonbury sprinkled in between.
James would win. Don't worry about it.
No, I think the power of the group and the power of the collective is always bigger than one player. And this is a battle between Mikel Arteta and his Arsenal team. But Mikel Arteta won round one, getting rid of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And I think when you have a striker who is going to be so hell-bent and really selfish to try and prove a point to get a goal, that can possibly derail the plans of Chelsea. Graham Potter will have probably spoken to him time and time again. It could also be fuel that he uses to motivate Aubameyang to put in a masterclass performance. Aubameyang did have an assist in the Champions League game, I think on the Sterling goal. So it's not like he's completely out of form. The Champions League has been where he's done his business, not so much in the Premier League. But with the way Arsenal are playing, a unified front, with the way the youngsters are stepping up, and a leader that's emerged in their team, another striker who will want to continue to prove a point because he has a lot to play for the Brazilian national team, Gabriel Jesus. I love this guy. I love what he's meant to Arsenal, and he's becoming more of a vocal presence for this Arsenal team alongside the likes. We talk about big personalities. Granit Xhaka is a massive personality. The dude got booed by the entire Emirates. That's a big personality. He was a captain 1 minute, and now he's one of the role players.
Put the violin away. He's not the only player that's happened to. Put the violin away.
Nigel's been booed by so many grinds.
Getting booed by so many players.
Nigel still gets booed.
To say Arsenal doesn't have big personalities in that locker room, I don't fully agree with that, because Granit Xhaka is a big personality. He's a captain for his national team going to a World Cup. It's a big personality.
Listen, great points. What a great discussion about Arsenal Football Club as well. But before we get out of here and move on to Spurs against Liverpool, I need to get a prediction from you. Nigel, let's go with you, buddy.
I'm going against the grain. I'm telling you, I sense a Chelsea win. Chelsea 2-1.
Chelsea 2-1. James, what you got?
2-2.
2-2. Safe answer right there, James. Give me a break, man. You've been taking too much shit on social media. You've gone for a safe 2-2. Give me a break. Mike, what you got?
I'm going 3-2 to the Arsenal. The Arsenal do give up goals, especially when they go on the road, but they do score goals aplenty. I see them continuing that trend, 3-2.
Well, our good friend Vic has got 2-1 to Chelsea. He says, go on, Nigel, tell James we have what it takes to bring Arsenal down to earth on Sunday. No doubt about it. Plus, it is a derby game. Absolutely. However, I like this Arsenal side. I'm going for a 3-1 Arsenal victory this weekend. I think they continue to do good things in the Premier League. Let's turn our attention to Spurs against Liverpool. It's 3rd against 9th in the Premier League. I can't believe it. Spurs have had 2 last-minute winning goals in both the Premier League and Champions League. Absolutely going to be full of confidence because of that. Liverpool just broke Napoli's record. Tough game to predict. Huge game for Liverpool. If they want to start an attack on the top 4, I guess this is the type of game. We're going to be quick on this game because we want to move on to Aston Villa, Manchester United. But this is a good game to look out for. Nigel, I'm going to come to you first on this one here. Top 4 for Liverpool is what their target is, but these are the type of games you got to win.
These are the type of games that they need to win. And it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be a typical Conte Spurs side. Sit down, dig deep, dig the trenches, be hard to break, which Liverpool have found hard to do this season. Found it very hard to do against Nottingham Forest, lost that game. When teams sit without the lack of that magic of that Sadio Mane, Liverpool find it hard. I think it's going to be a hard one to call, but I think personally, I can see a draw in this game.
I think the big talking point that Spurs have lived and died by and Liverpool have struggled with at times this season, set pieces. Tottenham Hotspurs are the set piece kings of the Premier League. Such a good team. You look at the likes Harry Kane, and we haven't talked about the Son injury, massive loss for Tottenham, but the likes of Harry Kane, Bentancur, Langley scoring a headed goal. Tottenham, they will want to grind the hell out of this game, frustrate Liverpool even more. Liverpool, for as much as they've shown glimpses, and Mohamed Salah behind the goals of Mohamed Salah, Darwin Nunez popping up with a goal or two here and there, but Mohamed Salah, he's been their shining light and their saving grace this season. You can't, I apologize to you, Mohamed Salah. Remember maybe a month ago, I had a pop at you, and you know what? You can have a pop at me. I apologize. You are the Pharaoh King of this Liverpool team. But the rest of the team, the inconsistency is what troubles me. For Tottenham, they are who they are. They know no other way than to leave it late in the second half. I go back to Liverpool. If they start bright, if they get that early goal, then it's going to fluster Tottenham a bit. But Tottenham, they're the second half kings. Majority of their goals coming in the second half. They've shown it in the league. In their last match against Bournemouth, they show it in the Champions League. I do worry a bit if these players, how exhausting it is to have to leave it late to come back and get a goal and get a result. But this is more pressure on Liverpool than I think Tottenham to get a result in this match.
Yeah, I think Mike really hit the nail on the head there right at the end, saying that, the last week or so is going to have taken a lot out of Spurs. Playing till the last minute against Bournemouth, playing till the last minute against Marseille. That wasn't in Antonio Conte's plan coming up to this massive game away at home to Liverpool. Is that midfield, my question, going to have enough legs? Rodrigo Bentancur gave it all. He's been wonderful this season and, a shining light, a superb addition for Tottenham. But I felt like Liverpool, kind of because they knew what was happening in the Champions League, they coasted through that game, even when they looked like they might lose it. They weren't that worried about things. Whereas Tottenham had to throw everything at the contest. And obviously losing Son, they've got no Kulusevski either. They've got no Richarlison. They're struggling from open play. Mike's right. The set pieces are a huge.
But they do have Pierre-Emile Højbjerg with an absolute banger to win it in Marseille.
Well, but that's it. If your second best sort of forward, second most likely scorer after Harry Kane is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, I kind of got questions. I mean, we have so many questions about Liverpool as well. I wonder if they will just look to pack the midfield. And,
that's what I was going to say. I think that Tottenham will just pack that midfield and go into that 5 in midfield. Like Michael said, they're going to suffocate the game. And still, you can't write out Tottenham for coming out maybe with a 1-0 win somehow, somewhere.
And they play really well against Liverpool. Like,
can I just remind all of you that Liverpool have not yet won on the road in the Premier League this season?
Exactly.
And you got to go to Spurs, who are 3rd in the table. So good luck with that one. Let's get our predictions and get out of here. Nigel.
2-2 draw.
Mike.
2-1 Spurs.
Jamesy.
Yeah, 2-1 Spurs.
Ooh, Benj. What's going on? You just rooted for Tottenham.
I'm not rooting for anyone, mate. I'm telling you what I think is going to happen.
I think that's
Okay,
absolutely
okay.
fine. Giving us a prediction of Spurs to win that game, and who wouldn't? I'm going to go for a Liverpool win. Sorry, everybody out there.
Ooh.
Heung-min Son, obviously, real quickly before we just get out of here, he has obviously got this injury to his face. He will undergo surgery. We still don't really know what the issue is going to be with him and how long he's going to be out, if he's going to miss the World Cup or not. Let's hope it's a quick surgery. He can get back here. Ali A says Liverpool win. Matt Osman says thanks very much. Where does he say? Ali also says Spurs don't have the counter-attack effect because there is no Son. And Matt Osman also asking if the latter, can he just wear a face mask like Osimhen? I guess that's what we're all waiting to find out. Go ahead, James.
They won't. What I was told is they won't really know until after surgery whether he
They
can
said
go
he
to the
needs
World Cup, whether
surgery,
he goes to the World Cup in a face mask.
Yeah.
It could be 2-3 weeks, could be a lot longer though. Who knows?
Isn't it just an absolute nightmare for these players right now, dealing with injuries and last-minute injuries? The pure desperation from these players right now, going through injuries. Chilwell yesterday, obviously, we've seen so many in the Champions League this past week, recognizing the World Cup's right around the corner. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that the World Cup is taking place at this time in the season. I can't even get my head around it. Let's get a quick prediction on Aston Villa against Manchester United. Villa 16th. Welcome new boss Unai Emery to the bench. Only one win in the last 6. United, on the other hand, slowly getting it together, are undefeated in their last 8 across all competitions. Prediction time. Nigel Reo-Coker, we'll start with you, your former team against Man United.
I'm just going to go for a Man United win, only because Unai Emery hasn't had enough time with this Villa side yet. I think eventually he will transform them, and I think what he will do is very similar to the Conte style, defensively well organized, hard to beat, hard to break down. That is the Unai Emery stamp, and then play a bit of counter-attacking football. But I think form guide would say, I would have to say Manchester United really are starting to get into their groove now and really starting to show identity. So I'll give it a Manchester United win.
Mike?
I'm going 1-0 Manchester United. Everything that Nigel said, a big thing for United that has been key to their success, clean sheets. David De Gea coming up big in the last match, the second half performance. I expect that to continue. And Unai Emery will make it difficult, though. Defense is his masterclass, but United have too much quality.
Yeah, I've got a United win as well, although I think we should say they, and another team with a big Europa League game, they need to win away to Real Sociedad by 2 goals. So it wouldn't shock me if Ten Hag has to use some strong players to get through that game. But I've got a prediction for you as well. It's come in one day, and why not against an Argentine? Anthony is going to use that daft little ball roll standing still thing he has. One day he's going to use that to round a keeper. So why not Emi Martinez? He's going to do that on Martinez and score a goal.
Ooh.
I'm looking forward to this game, actually. I think Manchester United are favourites going into it. I'd like to see Manchester United get the win, but you see that impact always with new bosses coming in, saw the training session pictures, the players were really getting after it. I would like to see maybe Villa get a draw here and get off to a good start under Emery and, potentially make this game an interesting watch. Let's see if that happens and plays out. Other fixtures to note this weekend: West Ham against Palace. Looking forward to that one. City are in action against Fulham. Everton against Leicester City. Anything else, Nigel, that really catches your attention from the Premier League that you might be watching this weekend?
I'll probably say that West Ham Palace is kind of intriguing as well. I'm a big fan of Patrick Vieira and what he's doing there with the resources that he's had there. I don't think he really gets enough credit for the job that he's doing, because whenever you say Crystal Palace are playing, they're a great team to watch. They're not like a real bad or, an identity of not trying to get forward or not trying to play football. Yeah. Obviously, a little bit heavily reliant on Zaha. And then obviously West Ham are still trying to find their form and get a run going. But I'll probably say that I'll be keeping an eye on that game.
All right, let's move ahead to MLS Cup. Before we get out of here, LAFC against Philadelphia Union. It's a cracking game to look forward to. Top of the West against top of the East. I mean, 2 of the best teams and most consistent teams in Major League Soccer. Mike, really apologies to you. Obviously, your team getting knocked out by LAFC. My team getting knocked out by Philadelphia. But I think we can both admit LAFC and Philadelphia are the 2 best teams in MLS this season. The way they've performed, the consistency they've shown. This is going to be a very, very good final to look forward to. Who you got and why?
I picked the Philadelphia Union, my former team, not just because they're my former team, but because they've gone to Banc of California Stadium and gotten results and outplayed LAFC. Jim Curtin, coach of the year, he will make Philadelphia a very difficult team. They won't be expansive. They can sit in the mid-block at midfield, and they play with 2 strikers. LAFC struggle with teams. They play with 2 strikers and have midfielders that get in the box. They're a good transition team, and they also have good youngsters who can come in to give good minutes.
Nigel, do you have a prediction? Go ahead, James. You ask your question first.
Yeah, can I ask a question? What's going on with Gareth Bale?
He's on holiday.
Is he still
getting ready for the World Cup?
Getting ready for
he
the
was on
World
the bench
Cup.
the other day.
So was there a realistic expectation? I mean, I think everyone knew, obviously, having not played for Madrid for kind of years, that he would need time. But surely, why is he not starting now? Is this, I think we always sort of in Europe see it through the prism of the stars. Is this just that there are better options to keeping him out of the team?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think Steve Cherundolo gave him a stretch of games, and Gareth Bale, you could see him a little bit of potential injury concerns. But when they got Boanga, you got him as a DP player. You have to play him. Chicho Arango, I think, has been the real key player, the Colombian international, mind you, who has kept him out of the team. And LAFC have become a better team without him, I think, and it shows in the results.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that he's just struggled to get into the team. I mean, like he's obviously coming off the back of injury. You go to LAFC just to get yourself fit and ready for a World Cup. Absolutely love it. I'm sure he's loving life in LA as well, and I'm sure his focus is on the World Cup. I don't think Cherundolo is silly to think any otherwise, that he's here for LAFC and he's going to be this golden boy. No. He's here to do one thing, and that's to stay fit and healthy and get ready for a World Cup, maybe help LAFC. And I'm sure he has inspired a lot of the players around there. But Michael's right. There are players that they've spent money on that they want to play ahead of Gareth Bale. He is on a cheap contract considering Major League Soccer status, and I don't think there's any urgency to play a Gareth Bale if he's not playing well, if he's not consistently playing well. Having a Gareth Bale around your training ground, having a Gareth Bale around your bench, it can only inspire other players, and that's exactly what's happening. Players are playing better because Gareth Bale is there. It's just unfortunate that it's not Gareth Bale who's in the lineup. But you also have Chiellini's been on the bench multiple times this season as well. So it's not as always easy to get into this lineup. In MLS, is completely different. Nigel, real quickly, what do you got?
I just want to know quickly to Mike, would you say the Philadelphia Union, with the consistency they've shown recent years, do they have the ability to be the next Seattle Sounders? Because I think Seattle premier the benchmark of the MLS league in how they've gone about building consistent success and how they go about their business to a very similar European model. What do you think about Philadelphia?
Also didn't make the playoffs this year, just to remind everyone.
Yeah, first time ever.
They didn't this year.
First time ever.
First time ever.
Doing it.
There you go, ever.
I think they do. I think in the past probably 8 years, there's something in the water, and I've said that on Austin FC broadcast because we get to do games against the Seattle Sounders and Portland Timbers. They have been the two teams who've shown up in the MLS Cup time and time again. Ian, you will know that from last year, NYCFC beating Portland at their house. With the Philadelphia Union, they have a different model. It's a pipeline of youth. They invested in the youth academy and one of the best youth academies around the country. And you see that with players like Brendan Aronson, who's the flagship, who's the flag bearer of what the academy could be, thriving in the Premier League, thriving with U.S. men's national team. Youth is the future. And the fact that you have a manager, Jim Curtin, in 2016, I think that's when he really had his team, his own team. I played for Jim Curtin, and those were discovery years for a young coach like him. Now he has a stamp of approval. One thing about Jim that I've always respected and loved that he's done with Philadelphia, he plays with two strikers. In Major League Soccer, you don't see two strikers much anymore. You see one striker with an attacking midfielder, some teams playing some version of a 3-5-2, except one with a second striker and a target striker. He plays with two out-and-out strikers because in Major League Soccer, I don't think they have good enough center backs yet who are comfortable defending 1v1 with strikers. And I think that's what Philadelphia have really countered on with most teams.
So 4-4-2 then.
4-4-2 with a diamond. Attacking midfielder, Gazdag.
He's a bit of the next Diego Simeone then, yeah? Till the well gets dry.
No, I wouldn't put him in Simeone. He doesn't piss off other people. He doesn't have this.
Jim, are you talking about Jim?
Yeah, he's not. Simeone's.
Jim,
I wouldn't describe.
Jim pisses off a lot of people. Who are you kidding?
Jim
man?
doesn't. Jim doesn't go to the. Simeone thrives off of that.
Jim went after City Football Group. He went after City Football Group. Listen, we got to get out of here because I know for a fact that Des is desperate for his breakfast. Guinness, James Bench, before we get out of here, make your comment and then give me a prediction. Then Mike, then Nigel. Let's get predictions. Go, James.
I am. This is a complete stab in the dark here. I have no idea what's going to happen. I see the odds, but you know what? It's always sunny in Philadelphia, baby. 2-1 to the Union.
Oh man, that's the comment of the pod.
Like LAFC have the better stacked team. I'm going LAFC win 2-0.
I've already told you. I'm singing it. Doop 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 doop. Philly's gonna win.
Don't sing that, all right? That hurts my soul when you sing that here. Listen, I got a lot of respect for Philadelphia, even though they've pissed me off a lot over the last couple of years. I'm a big fan of Jim Curtin. I really am a huge fan of Steve Cherundolo and the job that he's done at LAFC. This game is may the best team win. It really, you cannot predict this year. I don't like the odds for Philadelphia, +3 something. Philly are a great team. And let's not forget they're a selling club, like you just mentioned there, Mike. They sold the best player in the offseason to Belgium. And now they're in MLS Cup final. Outstanding job. Philly are my favorites for winning MLS Cup. But I'd like to see LAFC get the job done in front of their own supporters as well. I know a lot of people at LAFC as well. So just one last little side note before we get out of here. You will not be able to park at Bank of California Stadium in LA for MLS Cup final. Parking has already been taken by USC for their college football game that 60,000 fans are expected for. So LAFC are encouraging fans to make the trip using Metro, free LAFC park, and ride shuttles from Dodger Stadium and rideshare apps. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's a hike. That's a hike.
That country
10
has
miles
a real,
away.
That's a hike.
That country has a real problem with people that should be at school learning, playing American football and playing sports. Just sort it out. This is professionals playing the game.
Well, this is the point, though. This is what people criticize sometimes the MLS for certain things where you're saying you want to compete against some of the top leagues in Europe. How can you make fans have to rideshare and use the Metro because college football has priority over the MLS Cup? Like it's a bit of a embarrassing kind of.
Tell them to get back to class, get back to the library, do some work.
There's that little clip from Nigel that we were looking for. Thanks very much, Nigel. That's all I was looking for. Hey, boys, excellent stuff as always. We're going to let producer Des get out here and get his breakfast Guinness. Thanks to everybody out there for listening to House of Champions. Please take a minute to leave us a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere else you listen to your podcast. We're also available, fortunately for Nigel Coker, because he's just such a beautiful human being, on video. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Everybody out there, thanks for watching. We'll be back on Sunday to recap an amazing weekend. Enjoy all the games. See you then.